Okay, now this is a crazy story. So there was about a mid-sized SaaS company who had a very successful software that was generating serious money, and the interface was awful. It was awful. It was outdated. It was, the whole overall user experience just was really painful and very frustrating and created tremendous challenges for the users. And there was a UX designer within the company, and the UX designer was really, I would say, was utilized as a graphic designer. The idea was basically to give designs to this person to make things just look pretty, right? One of the main misconceptions of UX designers is that it's our job to make things look pretty. So the role of this person was basically to just spice it up a little bit, make it look a little bit nicer, and our users will be happy and great. And that's pretty much where things ended. So this UX designer woke up one day and decided, this is crazy. I see our users are frustrated. Our users are not happy. They're going to do whatever they possibly can to avoid signing contracts for the coming year because they're super frustrated with the software that we're offering them. But they don't know what to do because like the competitors within the space are not really, it's not really so comparable, but at the same time, it's so frustrating to use this software that they're just gonna try to make do with other options just to compensate for the frustration. So the UX designer finally decided to speak up and say, look, the projects that we're working on, the tasks that I have in my backlog have absolutely no connection whatsoever to the challenges and the frustrations that our users are dealing with. And here's the deal. The backlog, the product backlog, the UX tasks that we have are all features that have been prioritized to add in features to enhance. But we currently have a huge pool of features and key elements within our software and application that need serious help. And I know that because our users are screaming. They're screaming until they're blue in the face, but we're not listening to them. And the designer told me that the manager just looked at her and said, thank you so much for your insights. We truly value your input and feedback. This is what we're working on for now. And this designer was so upset. And the story ends there. But here's where I want to interject my opinion. What would happen if the CEO of this company overheard this conversation and he overheard the designer saying, our users are screaming until they're blue in the face, but we're not really listening to them? Now, obviously, it would have to be worded a little bit differently because as designers, we need to know who it is that we're speaking to and how to speak to those people properly in terms that they understand. So when you bring the data and you bring the problem and you phrase it and talk to the person in terms that they understand, suddenly the CEO says, yes, that's right. I haven't slept for the past 3 months because we haven't met the quarterly KPIs for the past 5. What do you have to do? What do you have to tell me? How can you help me? Is there something here that I'm missing that you can fill in for me? And then continue on and say, yes, our users are frustrated. Our users' needs are X and Y, but we're offering only Y and Z. And so they're frustrated. Maybe we can just make a small change to align the product strategy, the UX strategy, and the tasks and the projects that we're working on with the business strategy so that the strategies and stuff that you're working on and the numbers that you want to see, we can guarantee and ensure the success by making sure that the projects and the tasks that we're working on are directly related to and will create a feedback loop and a success loop to those strategies and ideas and things that as a business we want to try to accomplish. We want the customer satisfaction number to go from A to B. What is the product team, UX team doing to ensure that we can get those numbers to where they want to be? And if you can point to tasks and projects that you are currently investing in to drive success to raising those numbers, then that's great. But if you cannot, then there needs to be a realignment. And business strategy and product strategy have to come together and make sure that they are aligned and that they are on the same page. So as a UX or a product designer, you have an opportunity, you have a responsibility to go to your manager, the CTO, the director of product, the CEO, depending on the size of the company, it might be someone else. You have a responsibility to voice. It doesn't have to be a concern. You have to raise an awareness when a user is frustrated or their needs are not being met. You have a responsibility to come to leadership and explain to them in terms and language and data and metrics that they understand why what's going on in our business and the projects that we're working on and the feature prioritizations that are taking place are not going to drive success for the goals and the vision that they have as an overall business strategy. And if you can do that, and if you can talk the language of the business executive, whoever it might be, they're gonna listen, because ultimately they want to drive success. They want to know how what you're doing is gonna move the needle and impact their bottom line. That is what they care about. And so if you come to them and you're talking about design thinking methodologies, all they're gonna hear from you is, they don't care about design methodologies. They don't care about usability testing. They do care about what project you're working on and how it's going to move the needle and impact the bottom line for the coming year, or how the project you're working on is going to ultimately help them meet their quarterly KPI. That they care about. And ultimately, you're saying the same thing. You're just speaking a little bit of a different language. So we need to come together. We need to collaborate. We need to realign. We need to take our product roadmap that is not a set in stone sacred document that we put on the shelf and don't touch, but that we use as an adaptable guide to guide us as a product team, as a product strategy document, to come together with the business strategy and make sure that we are aligned so that ultimately everyone is working on and completing tasks that are all directly connected to and related to the ultimate business strategy, which will ultimately drive success for everyone and for the business.